So there's a cost of using AI that we need to talk about.
Yes, I'm ready.
Every time you outsource a decision to AI, you're changing the neural pathways in your brain
Yes.
that are used to make that decision. And within probably about 2 years, I think most people won't be able to make it on their own anymore.
You're listening to the AI Convergence Podcast, where AI, business, and mindset converge.
Okay, now that's pretty dramatic. You want to explain that to me? People are just going to walk around like, duh.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a great example.
Okay.
A proof point. So have you seen those clear phones? Have you seen those? So there's these clear phones. It's shaped just like a phone. It's about as thick as the thinnest iPhone.
Okay.
And people are buying them because they don't know how to stand in line without having something in their hand and doing something. And so it's literally like, search it up, like on TikTok, people are like literally like taking videos of people like sitting there waiting in line at the bank or at the grocery store or whatever and flipping through
A fake phone?
A fake phone. Yep.
What's wrong with their real phone?
Well, the thing is that they're trying to detox. They're trying to
so
not
they're
be on their
using-
phone.
It's like a fake cigarette. It's the
Exactly, like
I
the fake-
need the
yeah,
oral
exactly.
fixation.
Yeah.
They need this thing that we've been doing with our hands and our brains and being distracted so many times a day.
So my proof positive case study is how dependent are people now on social media,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Spending hours and hours a day scrolling, getting that dopamine hit. So we never used to be that way before. We used to be able to be engaged in the now moment. As kids, we were riding bicycles and actually playing in the yard. And I think they said that the crossover between early millennials and late Gen X's are the last ones that experience that know what that's like, to actually go and run through the neighborhood with your friends and play in the dirt and stuff like that.
Yep.
Well, now that doesn't exist anymore. People are dependent on their electronic devices. I even have the same challenge. I know what that's like. So when we go to the mountain home and we detox, you know, it takes a few hours, a half a day for me to be like, where's my phone? I want to listen to a podcast or watch YouTube or check, you know, my Instagram or email. Like it's that thing. So the same thing is now happening with your decisions, right? So your decision making, and there's a really great, they've actually done a study on this, and we'll get into that in a moment. So what happens is your prefrontal cortex is involved in your executive function. It's like making decisions, right? Should I go over there and do that? Or should I do that? My friends invited me out to the movie, but my other set of friends invited me to go play pickleball or something, right? What should I do? Well, what a lot of people are doing now is just like, let me ask ChatGPT, right?
Oh, really?
Oh, you know, what should I
That's
do?
their flip a coin?
Yeah. So like, what should I do, right? And this is shocking to you.
It'd probably even be better just to flip a coin.
Yeah, right. Just at least flip a coin, right?
Yeah.
It'd be so much easier. And it is shocking to you, as it was to me, because we're of a different generation, right? And we still use AI by still keeping our executive function. You know what? I know that you gave me that decision, but I don't agree with that, right? So AI for us is, in this aspect, is more of a thought partner, right? Rather than the decision maker.
Yes.
But I've literally had a conversation with someone who, they might listen to the show, so they'll remain nameless. And they were sharing with me something that happened to them, and it was emotionally charging, and they had a decision to make, and so they went to ChatGPT. And they flushed it out with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT told them what it thought they should do, which I completely disagreed with.
Okay.
And they did that thing.
Okay.
And we had a conversation on how I was like, that was not a bad thing to do. It didn't make you do a bad thing,
Right.
but it made the wrong decision, in my opinion, and here's why. And after a while, the person was like, wow, you're right, actually. Like, that was crap. And I was like, here's the thing. You probably don't listen to a whole lot of people in your life, but please take it from me. I've been dealing with AI for almost 3 years now, intimately. And AI only wants to be your yes person.
Yeah.
And so for people who are listening, and it still wants to be your yes person, it can read your intent. So if you're going to AI and you're emotionally charged and you're talking about your baby mama, or you're talking about your relationship or your boss or what have you, there's a line that shouldn't be crossed. Up to some point, it's good to vent, to have something so someone to be like, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Off, yeah.
Bounce things, that's great.
Right.
But then when it gets to the point to where this is what you should do about it, that's where you need to pull back and not have it, or not listen to what it's going to tell you what to do anyway, but not listen to it. And the reason being is because its suggestion of what you should do is based on what it thinks it wants or you want to do, right? And so like having a good friend that tells you what you need to know, whether you want to know it or not,
Right.
that AI is not that.
Right.
Is not that.
Right.
And so that's one example, right? But even in less emotionally charged situations, people are throwing, and this is more along the millennial, higher Gen Z, and the Gen Zs that are taking on AI, they're just delegating all of their decisions to
They're
it.
delegating their executive function.
Their executive function.
Yeah.
And so so the question is like, what happens?
Yeah, it makes it easier to make a bad choice.
Well, not only that. So in the world of neuroscience, there's a term that says neurons that fire together wire together, right? So if you want to learn a new habit and you want to overcome or stop doing a bad habit, you have to do two things at once. You have to start making a new repetitive decision that is something that you haven't been doing. When you do that, you start literally, not figuratively, literally growing new neurons. And so they start to for those who are listening, my right hand is one neuron, my left hand is another neuron, and we're growing together, right? So the more you make that decision, the longer those synaptic connections become, the more they start to fire together, right? And the more you make that decision. So here's a great example. Let's say you got a new job, and you were at your old job, which was 15 miles away, and you were there for a year or 2 years or however long, right? Longer than 6 months.
Right.
And so you're just used to, I know how what my morning looks like, because so that way I can get on the road at this time, and I'm just driving down the road, and I don't even need GPS anymore because I know where I'm going.
Right.
You've done that for so long, that's hardwired. So those two new neural or multiple neural synaptic connections that grew because of that new thing you were taking, they've been firing together for so long. Neurons that fire together wire together. They're not hardwired, but kind of hardwired, right? So it's like riding down a path in a field. The first few times you go down it, it needs to be tramped down before you're like, oh, there's definitely a path here, right? So when that happens, the other decision, so like for instance, you get a new job. It's only 8 miles from your house, okay? And now you're having to, when you get in, you're like, oh, I need GPS. Where am I going? I got to remember, I got more time. So you have to work that out. It feels kind of weird. I'm leaving later than I usually do, but it only takes me so long to get there. You're going a completely different way. You're making new decisions that you've never made before. So you're creating new neural synaptic connections. And all the while you're doing this, you're using your executive function, your prefrontal cortex.
Right.
So as you're using your prefrontal cortex to forge a new path, all the old neural synaptic connections of your old job and the way that you got there, the less you go to that place and the more you go to your new place, those old neural synaptic connections are going to become weaker because they're not firing. You're not making a left on Main 2 miles down the road, a right on, Jolly Drive or whatever the hell it is. Like, please don't have me name the streets in your town, because that's what it would be. Jolly Drive.
Jolly Drive.
And so
Synaptic Road.
Synaptic Road. Yeah, exactly. So, and I think you used to do something in your past, whatever it was, for so long, but then you didn't do it anymore. And it's been so long, when you go back to do it, you're like, gosh, I got to remember how to do this, right? Sure. And that's because those old neurosynaptic connections basically kind of withered. They started growing weaker and weaker, right? They're still there. They don't go away, but you got to tap into a little more energy and to like, whether it's a sport, right? Gosh, it's been so long since I've done this. I need to practice this more, right? So you have to regrow those neurosynaptic connections. So what does that do? What does that mean when we're using AI? When we're delegating our decisions, any decision, to AI, our prefrontal cortex is firing less. So we're using less neurosynaptic connections there for executive function.
Okay.
The less we use that, the weaker those decision-making capabilities become. To the point to where and this happens within months, not years, where anywhere between 66 days on, you will have a very hard time making your own decisions. When somebody asks you, well, what would you like to do? You either have I don't know, or you're like, let me see. And then you pull up ChatGPT. Well, hey, this is what I was thinking. I could do this, I could do that. And then ChatGPT helps you make a decision.
Well, at least it'll make it better for couples who can't figure out which restaurant to go to. Where do you want to go? I don't know. Where do you want to go? Well, I haven't thought about it. Of course you haven't thought about it. You only had all day. Suddenly now it's my job to decide for both of us where we're supposed to go eat. Flip a coin.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. But I also think what you're pointing out, too, I think is executive decision-making processes is a matter of collecting experiences. The more experiences you collect, the more data you have to make better executive decisions, right? Because you're pulling from multiple experiences. It sounds like what you're describing is that we eventually will be whittling down our experiences and making fewer executive decisions as a result, because we have fewer data to rely on.
Yes. So here's a funny thing to that, and tying in the point that we were talking about prior to recording was memory, right? So when you have to make a decision, a client has this question, and it's not just a simple yes or no. It's how do I respond to this? That kind of a thing. Or you have to make a decision in your workflow process or whatever it is. When you're doing that yourself, you are lighting up a lot of different neurosynaptic connections, right? The more neurosynaptic connections that you light up, the deeper that experience becomes a memory, right? Something you can recall. You're like, I know why I made that decision, because I thought about this and that, and if I did that, then they're going to think that, and if I did that, they're going to think that, so that's why I did this, right? Well, if you delegate that to AI, hey AI, what their what their scope is. Where we're at, our pricing model, and all this other stuff. Can you please just write an email for this? Right. And the email writes it up. You scan through it. You're like, great, boom, send it. Right. You saved maybe 30 minutes, because if you would have taken the time, you would have deliberated on it, et cetera, maybe got distracted, then came back with it. So maybe you saved some time. But you also, the next time that comes up in a conversation with the client, you might not remember why you made that decision.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And because you say yes.
Yes.
You're the guy now. It's happened.
You called me out on it a couple times. I was like, yeah, that happened. And literally let the email do the work for me, and then couldn't remember that it had happened. B, when it was referenced in a conversation with the follow-up with the client, I couldn't remember that email was sent and that decision was made. Yeah. And that's a very uncomfortable place to be. Yeah. Because you're like, did I make that choice? I don't remember, and that's very uncomfortable. Yeah. And so I'm glad you have that real firsthand experience with it, because I think a lot of people are using and leaning heavily on AI. Well, they're already having that, but I don't think they're able to make the connection. Well, I wonder if what would, and I realize this is the transition period. We're looking at a moment in time when transitioning away from making executive decisions about specific things is shifting. It doesn't mean that we won't make executive decisions. It means we'll make executive decisions about things that don't need AI, that don't require a flip of the coin. Meaning, if it's that easy to let AI make that decision, and I'm spending my executive function trying to make this choice, should it be applied someplace better?
Yeah.
Someplace where the executive function it matters more. And eventually we might get to a place, yes, right now we're going to deal with that disconnect and that memory loss experience, but eventually I think it will be replaced with making other kinds of choices and using that function in other ways that we have not been free to do because we've been so busy making thousands of executive decisions on crap.
Yeah.
Not crap, but just stuff that, is it really that valuable? Can it just be done and handled? And is that decision that gets made by AI, because it understands your systems and it understands your products and it understands your clients, is safe enough and good enough to be acceptable? We have to be willing to let that go to be like, oh, now I can make decisions over here. It's just, how do we reference the action that took place?
Yes, if. Right?
Yes, yes.
So it's like, yes, that example that you prosed was correct. If you move and you start, now I have more mental energy to invest myself over here and practice and learn a new craft or skill or, teach myself piano or a new language or whatever it is, or learn how to paint or draw or cursive, right? All of those things that are re-engaging, right?
Yeah.
Whereas that's the part. It's like a yes if, right? Whereas I think some people will just be like, oh my God, this is great, Well,
sure.
Yeah.
I don't think that's living in the if, you know what I mean? We didn't have that space available in the past because our decisions were made for us because the demand on our time was predicated by all of these actions and tasks that have to be done.
Yeah.
If those actions and tasks that don't have to be done by me anymore, then I now have got this ability, time, attention, executive functioning, to apply somewhere. And that lives in the if, right? That proverbial gray zone of choose your own adventure because that's now available to you. Well, how will we make those choices? And what ways will we make those choices? And what will influence us to do so? Some people will let ChatGPT choose for them on some of their adventures. Yeah. Some of us will go put it down and take an entire weekend to do other kinds of executive function work, you know what I mean? Yeah. Creativity, whatever it is. Yeah. Fill those words.
Yeah, I can use myself as an example. And this wasn't an easy transition. It took me a while. But as my AI became so much better in coding, and I trusted it a lot more, and I felt like I didn't have to babysit it, only at certain checkpoints I would check in, check its work, etc. That's freed up so much time. And then with the AI that we've implemented and we use in all of our own different departments, it's optimized so much time that I'm really only working 3 days a week. And so what am I doing with that other time, right? Yeah. Because I'm not consistently
Jess calls
me
all the time wondering what the hell you're doing with the extra 3 days a week.
Well, no, she knows because I'm learning how to DJ, right? It's like, I've always wanted to learn how to DJ and mix music. It's cool. And so I'm starting to do that, and Jess and I started playing golf, right? And so we're learning how to play golf now. Yeah. And so these are the things, and I'm going to get back into painting, right? And so but it took me a while to do that because it felt weird not filling my time with work. We've done another podcast on that in the past. And then I was like, well, how do I fill this with my time? And then I was like, I need to learn a new skill. I need to learn something. And I was like, well, what do I want to do? I'm like, oh man, it'd be really cool to learn, all this other. So I've literally been spending all of my free time learning how to DJ, mix music, create new frequencies, and mix all that and all that other stuff. And I've, bought all the equipment. It's been exciting. And so while DJing might not be something somebody else wants to do, maybe it's knitting, or maybe it's another part of your business that could really benefit from your personal attention that you've been looking over for years or a certain period of time. Because we've talked to clients like that as well. That are like, hey, now that's all automated, this is the part that I love to do, and now I'm working over here.
I think I'm going to predict it and say it now, that by 2028 is going to be the year of the hobbies.
Ooh.
because people will find. Do you remember our parents, our grandparents had hobbies?
Yes.
Because they had real time. They had an actual 9 to 5 or 8 to whatever it was that didn't demand their time after work. There was no demand on them between hours. Do you know what I mean? So they had time to dedicate to actual hobbies. Planes, trains, little whatever, miniature things, stuff my grandfather would do, my dad would do with his tools. Because they had that structured time available. Our generation has filled all the extra time with more productivity, more operations, more things. And especially as a solopreneur, there's no time off. And I'll be fascinated to see if we get to a place where there's enough of that buyback from cognitive offloading as well as, productivity, that we have time to get back into hobbies like DJ, painting, learning poetry, whatever it might be that you want to do.
Oh, where art thou, Romeo?
Some might not say that Shakespeare is poetry. But I want to jump into the specific pathways you don't want to lose.
Yes.
Because we've talked about what could happen, but what are some of the pathways that we don't want to lose?
Yeah. So, and real quick, I want to say, I'm not saying don't use AI. I'm saying, again, use AI in the proper way and pay attention, become aware, develop a meta awareness, which is the ability to think about the thoughts that you're having and be aware of what you're doing. Develop that so that way, wait a second, okay, this is a decision I can delegate to AI, but there's other decisions I'm going to sit on and do over here.
Well, we're still going to talk about the people who make those choices. Because it's really good TV. You know what I mean? It's like,
of course.
Hello, it's like watching train wrecks. We're telling them and we'll warn them that don't do this, and they're going to flip a coin and they're going to use AI to make choices. Like that gentleman who's suing OpenAI because he decided to take medical advice from it and not go get medical advice. Like, we're literally talking to you. Please don't do that.
Please don't.
Use AI appropriately.
Okay, so let's dive into the specific pathways that you don't want to lose. So judgment under uncertainty. Okay. So when AI gives you a confident answer, you stop weighing the evidence. All right. And this ties perfectly into the example that I shared, a real life example I shared in the first part of this podcast. That's the muscle that dies the fastest and the muscle that separates great operators from average ones. And so AI is so confident, and I love Claude, but Claude also is very confident, right, in its decisions. And you could be like, oh, wow, that's great. But how often are you pushing back on it, right? Or using it like a good trusted friend or a friend group. Thank you for your opinions. I got that. I'm going to weigh that, but I'm going to make my own decision. Right? So that is when you're uncertain about something, you can use AI to bounce things off, but go away and make your own decision and weigh the things out.
And I always have mine saying, first I want, 2 suggestions or 3 suggestions in a red card. Do you know what I mean? I want you to push back, but I also want you to provide alternatives to the thinking. This is because it starts a dialogue for me with the AI, and my brain can think of two, maybe 3 alternatives. Maybe they may not be exactly what the AI comes up with, and so I want to see: which direction am I thinking when I'm having these brainstorming sessions? So I really appreciate that kind of engagement, because then I make my choices based on having a conversation, not just give me 3 choices and I pick from the top 3. I like discussing them. And
which
it's cool.
Which goes into the second point, which is original thinking.
Okay.
Right? And so some people be like, oh, you know what? Like, I think this would be cool. Let me go to AI and have it flesh out and give me all the ideas, right? So you should have something at first. You should have that seed of an idea that you want to just help, like you said, help expand upon, right? And then you come up with the iterations, because when you always start with, let AI draft it, you're never generating from first principles thinking. And that's really important for your brain and the growth of it. Because what happens is that within a couple of months, you can't come up with fresh ideas. You
struggle to have an original thought.
Exactly. Right. And so.
And then what's your first instinct?
Exactly.
To go back to the AI.
Yeah. Hey, you know what?
It's so easy.
I need a
convenient.
solution for this.
I think that's the biggest fear that I have for us is convenience. Our entire generation has been trained to purchase convenience as a commodity.
Exactly.
Everything we do, we upsell, uppay, add on, whatever it is, because it's convenient. We are trained to choose the convenient option. I wonder, with AI coming into the picture now, how much of what we do is based on a convenience need, a reaction that we naturally have to choose the most convenient path, as opposed to the correct and good, more challenging path or growth path or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's what I want to help people to see. It could, because it's, you know, some people might have a hard time, if they're just tuning in, getting a read on me, right? Because one moment I'm like, your own human, your own brain. The other moment I'm like, throw that out to AI, let them optimize your business. There is a balance in the middle, right? And so, like convenience, there are certain areas in your business you should be choosing convenience. You should be putting AI in there because it's so much easier, right? But then there's other parts that need to be human. And so that's where I basically, like, my mission, where I want to help people understand is that, you know, outsource the mundane so that way you can still be human. Build more, grind less, kind of a thing. And so building comes from that passion, like I want to create something, right? Well, as you create that, like who's shoveling the dirt out of the ground so that way you can build your bricks for the house? Well, you know what? Have AI shovel the damn dirt out of the ground. That's not the work of the architecture, right? Be the architecture, the visionary, and continue to do that. So, just like you said, there is convenience, and I think the pitfall that people fall into is we like the convenience. And so we go all convenience. Convenience for this, convenience for that. You know, like Oprah, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. Everybody gets a car, right?
Yes.
Except for that person in the front. He doesn't deserve a car.
Well, we know him. He's been giving me that bad eye the whole time.
Stank eye.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing. It's like, where do you put it?
Yeah.
Be strategic about it. That takes your prefrontal cortex. You have that executive function, that decision making, that strategic oversight, so that way you can say, okay, this is where I don't need to be replying to 60 emails a day, right? So let my AI filter out the ones, whittle it down to 5 or 6 that does require me, you know, and the others can be either delegated to the rest of my team, or a draft can be so I can review, and then you're handling the human. So there's this delicate balance.
So what decisions should AI never make for us? Is there like a top 3 categories? Is it? And I know, to me, it's anything that requires judgment and discernment.
Yes.
Like the human in the loop.
Yep.
If there's a moment or a next step or a thing in the process or whatever it is that requires a human in the loop to make judgment and discernment call, then that is where you don't want AI making a choice for you.
I think emotional discernment.
Emotional, yeah.
Yeah. Anything that require AI does not have emotion. It can fake it really well, and it will fool you if you let it. Humans have that emotional discernment. How do you feel when you walk into a room, when you're talking to somebody? See, like, here's the thing. You know, that whole thing, street smarts, right? Well, the people who are street smart are the ones that have had their ass handed to them in the street. And they're like, I know now, I'm not going to go down that hallway because now I got that intuitive hit, that emotional discernment that's a little shady. Well, somebody coming from the backwoods of Kansas into, like, this is great, and they're just wandering everywhere.
I love this alley. It's so dark.
Exactly. So they haven't practiced that, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a practice.
Yes.
That's that emotional discernment, that intuitive, being able to pay attention to your intuition and all of those things. That needs to remain human all the time. So when you're emotionally charged, can you go to AI to kind of flush it out, have someone listen to you? Yes. But again, when it comes to that discernment, that final decision making, that needs to be done yourself, because if you start using or relying on AI to do that, you're going to find that, again, it's a muscle. It's all neurosynaptic connection. If you're using them less, they're going to atrophy, which means die. And so you're not going to be able to, your interactions are going to be less rich. with your people and your social structures. And so, again, and I am by no means a unicorn or perfect, but that's why I lean into my community even more now. And when there's an opportunity to go hang out with the community that I've forged relationships with, I take advantage of it, because having those interactions and those deep conversations and that fun and that leisure activity is the whole reason why I'm doing it, so I can do more of that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So let's kind of go through these here real quick to kind of, because we're at time. The protocol. So basically people are like, okay, this is great.
Protocols. Give us steps.
But yeah, give us some steps.
Yeah.
All right. So here's some frameworks. So draft first, prompt second. Okay? So basically come up with an idea. Whether you're drafting in your mind or you're writing some ideas down because you're at a meeting or had a conversation, you're like, oh, let me write this down really quick. Or typing it out on a notes thing, whatever it is, come up with a draft before you go to AI and then and prompt it, right? So draft first, prompt second. The second, you want to take that one?
Sure. AI as a sparring partner, not a decision maker. This is what I was talking about before, which was setting it up so that it spars with you. It always challenges your thinking. It always red cards your concepts and ideas. It provides alternatives to what your choices are or might be, and then suggests why each one may or may not work. Now, I realize that's a lot of reading. Guess what, people? That's the work you got to do.
Yeah.
You can't just, you can obviously delegate and just have it make a choice, but I think that process in and of itself is a great step.
Yeah. And our friend Jonathan Liebert wrote the book AI, or Thought Partner. Mm-hmm. And that's basically on how to use AI as a thought partner. Not as a replacement for your brain, but it's to help you.
Yes.
And we use it all the time as like, oh, I have this idea. Well, I wonder what that would be like. So use it as a sparring partner, bounce things off, refine things. And then I like this one, a weekly AI fast. Did that hurt a little bit?
Got a little nervous there. I think I need to take a pill. What are you talking about? What's this? What is this? What do you speak of?
Well, 1 day of decisions made unaided. Right? So it's like a tech detox. I try and do that. I don't do it daily, but I'll try around 7 or 8 o'clock. I go into my room and I'll put my phone either in my drawer, on the armoire, or under my pillow, so I don't see it, out of sight, out of mind. Mm-hmm. And then this way I'm more present. I also feel like, I don't know, it just feels better knowing that my phone's not on me. Mm-hmm. So the same thing with AI, right? Try and just rely on it less. Try it half a day, right? If it's that painful for you, try a couple hours. Start with like, okay, from 9 a.m. to noon.
7 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, 7. Okay, we could. Hey, baby steps, right? Yeah. Just like what was that movie? Baby steps. Baby steps.
Yeah.
So do some kind of fast, right? Start training yourself, and actually, I don't want to use the word training. Enable and empower yourself. Because that's what this is all about. Yeah. Enabling and empowering yourself more as a human, so that way you're not too reliant on technology. And you want to cover the last one?
Reserve the deepest work for your own brain. The identity level decisions. I think that's key if you understand what the deepest work is.
Yeah.
When I'm doing structured builds or coding or whatever, I'm really reliant on AI to make those, not make the decisions, but at least understand the systems better than I do. I know the outcomes.
Yeah.
And that's the part where maybe that's my deep work. You know what I mean? I look at the outcomes and I reframe them and I write them down and I describe them to myself and I make sure that I've played out the whole scenario of what would happen if kind of a thing, which is a great playground for my brain to stay in. And then I let the AI build that thing. And I have to trust that it can. You've pointed out many times that even Claude gets some of those things wrong. Mm-hmm. And so I've begun to try to figure out ways to have it audit itself and use other tools to do a third-party, challenge to see whether or not what we were building together is viable. But yeah, let your brain do the hard work, the deep stuff.
Yeah. And so identity level decisions, that's a real key point here I want to double down on, is the more that we start, getting free time, right? For those of us that are doing this responsibly, we're saying, I want to spend more time with my family. I want to learn a hobby. I want to feel more like a human again. And then responsibly putting AI in those positions so that way you can do that. that identity of you, of who am I, where's my value, my worth, like we've talked about multiple times before on this podcast, is going to pop up. That's when you leave AI on the shelf.
Yep.
Right? That is yours, your identity. And I just had kind of like an epiphany. I think in the coming years, especially as these young kids grow up, we're going to be seeing humans that have taken on identities that have been crafted by their AI.
Yes, of course, 100%.
And
we saw the beginning of that with social media being overused. But I am curious, just like the pendulum always swings, the generations always swing as well. We're now ending up with generations who refuse to use social media as a just out of spite, you know what I mean? Just as a rejection of that very technology. So I think it's going to be interesting while our generation's embracing and training and doing at the forefront of this fire hose. I think there's going to be new generations that come up that just go, well, just AI just works in the background. I don't use it to make choices anymore. It just functions as a thing that's a part of my daily life.
Yeah.
And that'll be an interesting time to see us get towards, because the freedom that my brain tells me that creates for us as a society, to me, is exciting, because I'm curious as to what we're going to fill that space with. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Yeah. And I know bad shit's coming. I know that too. Sure. But I'm excited for the good stuff too. Yeah. Yeah. Likewise. Yeah. All right. Well, so, you might be hearing us depending on, your reticular activating system. You might just be hearing, well, see, Matt and Michael, they said cut back on AI and don't use AI. But that's not what we're saying here. No. Again, we're saying use it responsibly. Like a well-balanced meal and nutrition triangle. We now have AI at the top. It's milk and cheese and breads and grains and cereals. And then you're the foundation on the bottom. At the bottom. Right? That kind of a thing. True. Yeah. Balance with everything. And use it to expand your capacity, but not replace it. Right? Oh, I like that idea. Use it to expand your capacity, not replace it. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So, check in with us next time. Next week, we're going to talk about the trust economy. A lot of small businesses have spent years building that know-like trust factor. They're a trusted business in their community, and they're afraid to use AI because it might break that. But also, there is a way that if you don't use AI, you could break it. So again, there's a middle ground, and we're going to be talking about that in episode 25. Absolutely. All right. Again, thank you for listening to us. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, comment. Share with all the people you hate. Yeah, I always encourage. I love the haters. So bring it on. There you go. All right. See you next time. See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the AI Convergence Podcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And tune in every Tuesday for conversations about AI, business, and mindset. Stay converging.